there's anyone out there looking to kind of follow in real time someone else's progress on the market, tune into my YouTube channel. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to 2021. And the year 2020 was a crazy, crazy year. But we're not here to really talk about the year 2020. In this video, we're going to talk about what we're going to do in the year 2020. As far as 2020 goes, lots of things happened. Lots of things changed. You know, the stock market went AWOL. And this is what this video is really going to be about, you know, in preparation for the year 2021 and what could possibly change and, you know, how to be there. So when the change is happening, you're involved rather than the change has happened and then you're reading about it later going, oh man, I wish I could have been there. So I'm going to start with giving you just a little bit background information on, you know, my journey, you know, where I started at and, you know, how I ended up where I'm at. The past couple of years, I've kind of always wondered, you know, how do you get rich? You know, how does a person make it? How do you become successful? How do you do something with your life? How do you become financially stable? So when I asked myself that question, I had to do my research, of course, you know, to figure out what venture could I take. And what I came across is, it seems like there's only two things that it boils down to. Really two things of how to create and accumulate and maintain wealth, the top, you know, 1% of wealth in America. And that's essentially investing in real estate or investing in the stock market. Simple as that. But what's not simple about that is, how do you start? You know, how do you get involved? You know, how do you choose the venture of going the real estate route? It seems that you had to have, you know, an 849 credit score, and you had to have, you know, $100,000 in capital, and or you just had to simply have a group of people who are millionaires that's willing to give you their money to invest in real estate properties. A person like me thinking, well, I don't have those things. It's just me. How do I make it? And that's when the stock market came in play. I actually got familiar with the stock market just before the coronavirus outbreak kind of affected it the way it did. I've always kind of knew of the existence of the stock market, but I never really quite knew how to get involved in the stock market, you know, where to start, how to trade, how to buy, you know, what to do. That kind of flows into my next topic, and that will be your brokers.
I'm having trouble connecting.
So choosing a broker is essentially something that you would, you know, do in your own research, depending on, based off your needs, you know, what you're trying to do, the goal you're trying to accomplish, you know, how fast you're trying to do it. Do you want to subscribe for something that's free? Do you want to subscribe for something that costs, you know, on a monthly basis, that, you know, may give you more perks or whatever? That's all up to you. With a few different types of brokers, actually, to, you know, kind of do them all and learn how they all work and help that expand my knowledge of the stock market. If I can manage the stock market on 5 different brokers who are all different, and I can understand how they all work and how they all tie along in with the market, then that'll help my understanding and my ability to perform in the market. So of course I, you know, have a main broker that I use, but I also have other brokers which I started with, and I started them all together and essentially figured out which one would be the easiest to use, the most effective to use, the most user-friendly. Then that's the one that I decided to put most of my attention into. And a broker is your platform, what you use to buy and sell and trade stocks. You know, it could be lots of things, you know, like Robinhood, or it could be Webull, or it could be Fundrise, or Wealthfront, or Betterment. I can go on and on and on naming multiple platforms that are all different, but essentially do the same thing. But that's not the point of this. Once you decide and establish what brokers you're going to use, your next step will probably be to devise a strategy. You know, you have your broker, you set your goals, and, you know, what strategy do you want to use to achieve that goal? How soon do you want to achieve that goal? You know, is that something that you just want to do and then you leave the stock market alone? Or is it something that you want to hit a milestone and continue to go expand on that? Now, when it comes down to trade strategy, that is something that you on your own have to come up with. No one can tell you, oh, you should do this or you should do that, because that may work for them, but that may not work for you. You know, there's certain discrepancies in all these strategies that may not work for, you know, all types of people. So what you have to do is you have to figure out, like I said, based off of what your goal is, your strategy should be based around that. And once you set a strategy, you need to stick with that strategy. You need to execute that strategy accordingly. You don't need to set a strategy and, you know, not follow the strategy. Once you figure out if you're gonna, have an aggressive strategy, or you're gonna be conservative and passive, or are you just gonna kind of, be in and out depending on how you want to be? Is your goal set for the long term, or is it something that's set for the short term? Or, that will all be based off of what your reason for investing is in the first place. Purpose of investing is for income. I invest to create income on the daily basis, the weekly basis, the monthly basis, for everyday expenses, for life, to live. Like how a person goes to work and expects a paycheck at the end of the week, or bi-weekly, depending on how you're paid. That's how they get their money. That's how they live day-to-day expenses. Well, my goal in investing in the stock market, create and generate revenue for day-to-day expenses. My goal is not necessarily a common goal for the majority of investors when it comes to investing in the stock market. There are people who invest in the stock market to create income for years and years and years down the road, maybe for their children or their grandchildren. Some people invest in the stock market just to have money for retirement. There are lots and lots of different reasons for investing in the stock market, but me in particular, I invest for income. Once you've established what your goal or your sole purpose in investing in the stock market is going to be, then you can kind of start to devise a strategy around that. Say you already have a reason to invest in the stock market and you already have a strategy that you want to invest. Well, then you will want to talk about how to invest, or the methods of investing, because there are many ways to invest. Trading stocks is just a simple term, to trade them, but what you're actually doing is buying and selling them. Buying and selling is not the only way to trade stock. There are different types of fundamental methods that people use, like trading options, which deals with hundreds of shares at a time, per contract. And some people will invest in ETFs. Some people can invest in REITs. Some people will invest in entire index funds. Some people will just invest in the individual stock itself. It all depends on your knowledge and what you understand and what you know of the market and how it works based off of your trading strategy and your goal. Since my goal in the stock market is not to earn money in the long term, it's to earn money on the day-to-day basis, I'm not going to be looking to invest in ETFs or REITs or index funds. I'm going to be looking to find individual stocks that are growing rapidly and that I can, essentially get in and get out and make as much money as possible as soon as I possibly can, rather than putting, $1 million in Tesla today and then coming back 10 years later to see where it's at. So basically, I would almost fall to the tier of a day trader. Even though I'm not necessarily day trading stocks, I approach stocks from a day trading standpoint, from the way day traders approach stocks, because day traders, rather you're looking to short the stock or you're looking for a long, they essentially control individual stock prices and the value of individual stocks, depending on where all the focus is at. Which sectors are going crazy, what news is out, what's going on, who's saying what's being put out in the media. That's going to control the stock. So basically, I benefit off of day traders, because I find stocks that people are day trading, penny stocks or stocks that are low in value, and based off of what the day traders do to manipulate that stock price, I get in and get out, maybe not at the same rate that the day traders do, because, I'm using Robinhood. So I only get 3 day trades for every 7 days. You have, some ground rules set for yourself and your strategy and how you're going to do things. Then you want to figure out, your setup, how you're going to find the stocks that you want, and how you're going to do your research, and where do you get this information from? Who do you trust? Who don't you trust? How frequent or how soon, like if you're reading an article today, is that article going to have effect on the market tomorrow? Or is it an article that spoke about something in the past, like a cause and effect of the market, and that article is not necessarily relevant to future changes in the market? It's only reviewing things that happened in the past. So you need to understand the information that you're getting and the information that you seek out to find your, key stocks, because you may hear some news about Tesla and last week the stock goes crazy. This week the stock's, falling down from last week going crazy, but you just read that news article yesterday. So you're gonna, feel like, oh, this news article must be recent. It's this, when really it's talking about something that already happened. So you may make a bad decision, use bad judgment, and fall into a stock that is falling. So you want to make sure that you have a pretty, not going to say a pretty solid setup, but enough ways to find information to the point where you're not just relying on the same stock or same, few stocks. You're actually learning about more stocks, stocks, new stocks that are coming in, stocks that are being phased out, what they're doing, how they work and the fundamentals. You want to know all of these things. Me currently, I don't have this elegant setup with 7 monitors and scanners, going like this, real time, tracking everything, the whole entire market, watching everything that it's doing to kind of help me out. I don't really have, all of that. I'm basically running off of just simple household things, My ways to find my stocks is I use HP laptop, simple laptop. I got my, I got an iPhone. I got my Android, which is back there charging. I got, my tablet, which I'm recording off of now. And I guess you can say this is, a few different things. Of course, they're not really set up to the point where I can just sit still and not turn my head and see the entire, stock market. But nevertheless, I kind of know what I'm looking for and, where to look for it at. So you're not seeing me go like this and then, and then, I kind of know what to do, where to go, and, when to do that. It came from time, doing a lot of research, doing a lot of reading, understanding what makes those, candlestick charts or that line plot, whichever one you decide to use, move. What makes them go up? What makes them go down? What are the terminologies used to describe, a stock rising, a stock falling, certain patterns in the stock, because you can't really beat the market. The market kind of does its own thing. The only thing you can do is try not to get beat by the market. Now, we're going to talk about your sources. You want to make sure that your sources are legit. Your sources are validated. They're not scammers. They're not fishers. Your sources are the things that you do to find your stock information is legit. You make sure that you're reading articles off of, if you go to Google's information, you're getting real information, from actual market companies who watch the market and they post news and information and stuff like that, verified news outlets to get your information. You don't want to go on, somebody's blog site and see what they're posting about the stocks and go, oh yeah, they're credible. You want to make sure that you actually have some sort of backing to what you research and what you believe about the stocks that you research. Reading on, Google. I go and I read articles on Google. I have my Google feed set up to where it just feeds me stock market after stock market information about companies that I'm watching and stuff like that. So I just kind of go through that and read that. But I also watch videos on YouTube. I also, see other traders and the things that they do and how they kind of devised, how they kind of work things out and what made them successful and how they continue to do that success and the things that they offer to spread that success. And I try to kind of gather all those things up to kind of see what can I use. So for people out there kind of wondering, well, what stocks to buy? I'm not going to tell you that. Do your research. The diversification of your portfolio. You don't necessarily want to flood your entire portfolio into one sector. You want to make sure that the sectors that you're invested in are sectors that are improving. You don't want to invest in sectors that are dying or that won't be around for much longer. You want to put your money into sectors that are gaining, that are increasing, or sectors that are new and that are emerging to, essentially keep the long-term part of your portfolio intact. Just make sure that you do your research and not just looking for companies that are making the biggest moves price-wise. You want to make sure what the company's about, what they do, what they stand for, who's the CEOs, kind of, all their earnings reports. You want to make sure that you're actually doing your research. You actually know the company, people who invest in the stock market, say someone who knows nothing about the stock market. When you want to invest in the stock market, what are you going to do? You're not going to come in and you're not going to start investing in Alibaba. You've never heard of Alibaba before. That's a Chinese company. You're going to come in, you're going to say, oh, I'm going to invest in, Amazon. I buy things off of Amazon every day. I know what Amazon is, so I'm going to buy Amazon. Make sure that, just because you know that what Amazon is, that doesn't necessarily mean that, that's the right stock to invest in. So I have financial goals set for the year 2021 in the stock market, and I plan to achieve those goals as soon as possible. Because the sooner I achieve those goals that I've set for myself, I can move on to creating new ones and accomplishing them before the end of the year. My main focus right now is to make sure that my strategy is completely as refined as it possibly can. My entry and exit points are spot on. based off of my ability to day trade and my understanding of the market and the stocks that I'm investing in. I plan on kind of giving updates very frequently throughout this entire year of my journey through the stock market, when I'm winning and when I'm losing, my entire journey. So maybe you can see that and it'll, help you and it'll influence you. And maybe I can even offer you some possible good information. If this is not enough, I'll always be, here this whole year to be offering as much as I can, so any questions, concerns, anything you guys need me to discuss more about, I can easily do. The very last thing I want to talk about in this video is also the most important thing in this video: risk management. When investing in the stock market, there are risks involved. Very high risk. You can lose all of your money if you invest improperly or irresponsibly. So I beg all of my viewers, or even if you're not my viewer, if you're just any person or every person who invests in the stock market, I beg you to please know how to manage your risk. Please understand how much you're willing to lose. And, understand how much you have to invest, and make sure that what you have to invest doesn't affect, your personal life, what you're doing in your business life and all those things. And make sure that, and I'm not saying that this is all about, I'm not saying this because, you invest in the stock market to lose money and you're going to lose money. No, most people who are new to the stock market, who don't really have a solid foundation to kind of use, may lose money. But losing money in the stock market only teaches you. Every dollar, every penny you lose is a lesson that you learn. So you prevent it the next time. So if a person who's never lost a dollar in the stock market, or never lost a dollar, join the stock market and they lose a dollar, they're not weathered for the market, because the market goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And the point of investors is to the point of the investors who are trying to get a gain is to get in the market when it's down and then get out of it when it goes up. But certain people, the new person to the stock market, they see this on the opposite spectrum. They see the market when it's up and think that's when it's time to get in. So when the market goes down, they lost and they're kind of wondering and they're flustered and like, oh my God, it was doing so good. Yes, that's not when you want to invest, when it's doing good. You want to make sure you get in when things are all beat up and all broken down, so that the only way you can go is up. You don't want to beat up and then get in up there just because there's so much room down here. You want to make sure you're getting down here on the ground level, so that if you fall, you're not falling 10 stories. You're only falling 2 feet. So there's anyone who's actually interested in following the market or becoming, super savvy about this, please, like, subscribe. So please like, subscribe, comment, everything that helps the channel, that supports me, that'll influence me to keep going for you guys, and let me know that you guys are actually interested in learning about the stock market and accumulating wealth for yourself and your family. And that's a very good thing. And I want to help anybody who needs help, because me, I've spoke before I came to YouTube about it. I went around to everyone I grown up with, everyone I've known, and I've presented this to them, offered them information about the stock market, how they could do this and that and this and that. And they just look at me and go, no thanks. So those are people that I want to see win. People that I grew up with, people who I knew when I was a kid, and I'm trying to help them. I've learned something that not everyone knows. And now I'm trying to help other people get that information. This information can be shared and spread along, but people just don't want, they're okay. People are content with being workers. Not everyone is, supposed to be in charge. Not everyone can be in charge. There are people who are supposed to take orders. Not everyone can just give orders. So I applaud those people who, are there to take orders and do the, and take those orders and do them, with passion. But for people who want to be more and want to be better, you can. You just have to do it. No one's going to do it for you. It's not just going to happen. You have to, when opportunity presents itself, you have to take it. No matter if you realize it's the best opportunity or if you even know what it is, if there's an opportunity that presents itself, it's usually for the better. It's usually good. Life doesn't necessarily always come back to back with bad opportunities to test you and see your will. life usually only comes to you very few times with the best opportunities, and they only come once. It's up to you to take that opportunity and make something out of it. And that's just what I hope that people do.